What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and just real quick before I start this video, I'm just going to say originally I was covering all the main conferences that I had any interest in at all, but I thought that I would just enjoy covering the whole thing, which turns out it wasn't the case. And say when you look back on Bethesda's one, pretty much I enjoyed talking about everything in a Bethesda one, short of Battlecry, but that was only like 2 minutes long, so that's not really an issue. But then when it came to like the likes of the Sony and Microsoft ones, I already made the Microsoft one and I noticed it during that. And then when I was taking notes on the Sony one, I noticed that it's just there's so much stuff in there that I just don't really enjoy talking about, and I don't want to just cover the entire thing just for the sake of covering it. So I'm going to cover the entire Sony one because I have all these notes here already. But for the likes of Nintendo later today, Square Enix later today, and the PC gaming one tonight, I'm just going to cover what I talk about, which is what I should have done in the first place. So that's enough of that. We'll move on to the actual Sony press conference from last night. So first off, they opened big. The Last Guardian. It's back for the showing off for the first time in like 6 years. I think 2009 was the first time or the last time we saw it, and maybe 2007 I think was when it was announced. Maybe even before. I think it was announced as a PS3 launch title, possibly. I can't remember. It's been like 10 years. So I'm familiar with the style of game that it is from Team Eco, and you've got obviously Eco, and you've got Shadow of the Colossus, so I'm familiar with the gameplay. And what does kill me though is that now that it's actually coming out 2016, by the way, it was confirmed for 2016, or slated for that so far at least. Might be delayed again. It is The Last Guardian, but with everything they showed off, it really does not look like it's going to actually hold up anymore. And one other thing that really worries me too is that it's a PS4 game and it looks like a PS3 game. Now I realize it's not out yet and it's obviously not finished and there's more work to be done, but I remember watching it last night and I was thinking, Jesus, this looks like a PS3 game. And I brought up the original. The original, and there's like 3 different Last Guardian trailers at this point, and I've looked up on them and I've done side by side comparisons, and it still looks almost identical. It looks basically like they actually haven't done anything with it, and they're just pulling it out because they have no games. So hopefully there's a big graphical improvement. Sure, the monster, I don't like to call him a monster, but the companion, if you will, looks pretty cool, but his feathers still look the same as they did on PS3 10 years ago, so hopefully that changes anyway, but we'll see. Now, I'm not bashing the game. I'm just, after all this time, I don't think it's going to live up to the hype, and even as someone who's played, is familiar with, and just enjoys the previous games from this studio, I don't know. It just I don't think so. And now I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and I could be pleasantly surprised. But I just don't think so anymore, unfortunately. After that, Sony moved on and they showed off the new game by Guerrilla Games, which is the company behind Killzone and all them. So it basically looks like Killzone in a art style and direction, if you will. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. And it basically looks like a combination of The Witcher and Killzone, kind of. Graphically, it looks fairly decent. Like, it looks fairly good. The gameplay will look completely average with a little bit of thing. I'm not gonna get really into that. It was set in what was designed to look like an old prehistoric early world, but it had like they were using bows and arrows and stuff like that, but they were all high-tech bows and arrows, and whatever enemies and race they were fighting against was primarily robot based and just all that kind of shit. So we'll see how that pans out anyway. After that, they showed off a multi-platform game which is the new Hitman game, which is just called Hitman. I'm not sure if it's a reboot because a couple of times in the trailer itself, it actually was aware and it said like, good to have you back, and now maybe that's just part of this individual story, but the fact that it's just called Hitman means it could be a bit of a reboot. So as far as since it is a multi-plat, as far as the Sony exclusive stuff goes, because they love that despite what all the fanboys say and give all the shit to Microsoft about, those same fanboys go crazy in a good way when Sony get it. So Hitman has a console exclusive beta when you pre-order Hitman on PS4. By the way, this pre-ordering for beta is a big part of Sony's thing this E3, as you'll notice. So you get the PS4 console exclusive beta when you pre-order it, or you get access to it when it becomes available when you pre-order, of course. And there's also 6 exclusive contracts on PS4. Now, I'm not sure if that includes 6 actual exclusive levels or not. I'm not sure how they're handling it. We'll see how it goes once either it comes out or we get closer to release. So after that, they showed off what I'm still going to call another multi-plat because it's coming out for PC as well. And it was Street Fighter V. Again, they didn't really show off too much of it. It was the usual kind of thing they'd show off, a bit of combat, a bit of new challenger appears. It's pre-order for console beta. Sony love doing this year. And they have the very first beta, which will be the PS4 only beta, starts in July 23rd. So they're really trying to push for those pre-orders ASAP. One thing they showed off as well, they teased... Well, I won't say they teased. They did specifically show them. They showed 2 what they called new characters. Now, one of them is called Birdie. I don't recognize him from any of the previous Street Fighter games, but he's a big guy with like he wears a bit of leather and it's kind of like a leather biker style clothes, and he's got like chains and stuff like that. It's like, okay. But then the second one they showed off, and in the same vein as they showed it off as new characters. Now, fair enough, maybe they're announcing it as new to Street Fighter V that they haven't announced previously or already, but it's Cammy. So I mean, Kylie Minogue is not a new... She's not a new character to Street Fighter, but like I said, maybe they're just finally getting around to announcing her for Street Fighter V. That's all I can think about it. So after that, they showed off No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, there's very little to say about it at this point. It's basically a giant space exploration game. It looks pretty huge. It doesn't look graphically impressive or anything like that. It's an alright looking tech demo. If that's your kind of game, fair enough. It's just not going to do it for me. But I think one thing, I was talking to my friend on Steam last night. He was watching the press conference as well, and I was watching the press conference, and we were both talking to each other over Steam about it. And he brought up a good point, is during the press conference for No Man's Sky, the creator was saying that you're going to all these uncharted worlds and uncharted everything and things that places that no one have been before, yet all these planets have probes and like upload nodes and stuff all over them. It just makes no sense. But we'll see how it goes anyway. So it's No Man's Sky. It doesn't really do it for me, but they did show it off. After that, Media Molecule brought up their next game, which looks like Hipster Central yet again. It's called Dreams. It's a creative style game, and what you can actually do is, in a funky art style, you can actually draw stuff into the world by moving the controller, which Media Molecule excel at using the PS3, PS4 and Vita controls for absolute pointlessness just for the sake of it. So they do excel at that, and they're going to bring it into this game called Dreams. And what you can essentially do is you can go into the world and kind of animate it after you've created stuff. So maybe you can make like small short films using the share function and upload them, or use them at some other way through there that may be integrated into the game or the system at a later point. After that, they showed Firewatch. There's not much to say on Firewatch. It's kind of a cartoony art style. I really need to find out a better name for that type of art style, because I don't like calling it cartoony, because a lot of people think I'm being negative when I say that, but it's just what it registers to me as when I look at it, and that's the first word that pops into my head to describe it. So it shows off Firewatch. You're basically, there's like exploration in a fire. Two girls have gone missing. You're the last person to have seen them alive, and you're talking to someone over the radio, and there's someone potentially stalking either of you or fucking with your heads or something like that. It's we'll see how it goes anyway. There's more details eventually. After that, they showed Destiny. Obviously, they showed Destiny during the PlayStation conferences now, because Destiny is Sony have a kind of exclusive partnership, if you will, for minimal Destiny content as usual. So this time they showed off the Taken King, which is basically the first full expansion pack to a Destiny game. It's going to be out this September. It's going to add stuff like the third elemental subclass to any of the current game classes. So for example, my warlock, who has he has a solar subclass and he has a void subclass, so now he's going to have an ice and arc subclass as well. So it's basically going to add in all the stuff that should have been in Destiny originally, because Destiny is woeful for content even after 2 DLCs. So I think by the end of the Taken King, with all the content in there, I think Destiny will really be up at what a final game of Destiny should have released as. So we have the third elemental subclass. As usual, there is a couple of small new PS4 exclusive content. Well, they said PS4 exclusive content, but or maybe they did, it was late, maybe it was just PlayStation content, but it's going to be just like original Destiny. There's going to be a couple of new exclusive weapons for PlayStation. There's going to be a new co-op strike, and there was something else that they said that I missed out on, but it probably wasn't too important. The Destiny content has always been small stuff. Actually, I think it was a new map for Crucible, so I think it was a new PvP map, so it was nothing huge anyway. Again, Destiny is obviously a multiplat, so yeah. I'm not sure about No Man's Sky or Firewatch. I don't remember. Didn't take the notes down on those, if they were exclusive or console exclusive or platforms, whatever. But after Destiny anyway, they showed Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I was going to say Unity there. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which we all know is already going to be a multiplat. So it's Xbox One, PS4 and PC. They specifically showed off in their usual fashion, Sony trying to do it differently. The main thing they kind of focused on was Evie Fire, who is obviously a female protagonist and can be switched between for different characters, between her and the main character, and stuff can be done differently. She has different weapons, different styles of doing stuff, different skills, different abilities, and they did specifically show off and make a big deal of her cane sword and her throwing knives. So they made a big deal about that. And on PS4 only, because PS4 love their exclusive content, despite what all the fanboys say, is they have a Dreadful Crimes map or mission pack. So you can use both characters to help solve a bunch of what they've called historically accurate crimes from that kind of era, from like 150 years ago. But given Sony's history with historically accurate, and Ubisoft's historically accurate in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it wouldn't surprise me if there was giant robot enemy crabs there. So we'll see anyway. After that, they started going on to more multiplat. Well, this one isn't really multiplat actually, because it's still Sony in both forms. It's called World of Final Fantasy. It's based on the old Final Fantasy Grimoire, which I'm sure you should know about. It's got a really cutesy, chibi looking art style. There's very little showing off for it. It was kind of like a quick 2 or 3 minute just trailer, if you will. There's, again, very little showing off, and it will be coming to PS4 and Vita in 2016. And now here is where it goes absolutely crazy, and this is where Square Enix announced during Sony's conference that they will be making a multi-platform version of Final Fantasy VII full remake. It showed off, it was all Advent Children style CG trailers. It had new voice acting, because obviously the original didn't have voice acting, but I meant new in the sense of Advent Children. And you could see Midgar, you could see Barrett was walking along, you could see one of the Mako reactors. It was all sorts of shit, and then of course there's near the end, boom, Cloud walks in, you see him from the back. It comes up, it actually says remake instead of just like some shitty other way they do it. I lost my shit when I saw this, I'm not gonna lie, and I made a video of it last night. And I was so excited that when I was taking my notes, I completely started typoing in sheer excitement. I mean, it goes to all caps in my notes, and it says Finale Fantasy 7 because I was all over the place. And my next note in it, instead of typing something about it, I typed it's fucking really happening. So we'll see how it goes anyway. One thing I can't wait, there's been no release date or even a year or anything like that whatsoever put onto it, and this morning Square Enix did say they've now started production on it. So a lot of people suspect it's going to be out in 2017 for the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy 7. But what I do, although didn't Final Fantasy 7 come out in 1998? I can't remember. It's been 17 years, so yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out in well, it depends where you live. I'd have to go look that up on Wikipedia. But one thing I do want to note is everyone says Sony won because of this, but it's not an exclusive. It did say coming first to PS4, which obviously implies that it's going to be out on something else. There's no other word what it will be out on. My money would be on Xbox One and PC, but I wouldn't be surprised if we only saw it on PC. But yeah, I would think Xbox One and PC. So after that, they showed a bunch of indie sizzle reel kind of stuff. I'll be completely honest, I was still losing my shit over the Final Fantasy thing, and I didn't quickly take notes on what was showing up. Also, in the same breath, the indie sizzle reel that was playing, they only had games on screen for between like 3 to 5 seconds, and most of them were just I didn't even focus on them. It was just that much, but there was nothing major there was worthy of typing to, at least in my opinion. And after that, again, they're I don't know why people are crediting this to it as well. So they bring out Yu Suzuki, and Yu Suzuki officially launches his Kickstarter. So basically, Sony had a Kickstarter ad for someone else to make Shenmue 3. Now, I'm a huge Shenmue fan, and I can't wait for Shenmue 3. And so they announced that Shenmue 3 would have his Kickstarter. They had a countdown live on set, and once it hit 0, the Kickstarter went live. That was me clicking my finger, don't worry. The Kickstarter went live. The funny thing is, it crashed Kickstarter because so many people were trying to get on it and access it. As of the time of recording this, it is now the quickest funded Kickstarter ever. It has been fully funded. I was going to fund it some more even, so I'm hoping to get my name in the credits, or maybe the like $300 or $500, well, dollar in this case, version of the Kickstarter rewards, because I'd like to be a part of that. And I can't wait for them. But it is confirmed for PS4 and PC, so it is a multiplat. So I don't know why everyone is freaking out and saying Sony won it. I mean, if they were only looking for $2 million, Sony could have fucking funded it and just had it as an exclusive. So I don't see. There's no real credit to Sony for that. After that, they showed Arkham Knight again, which is obviously a multiplat. There was nothing major about that. It showed off one or two of the Scarecrow missions, it showed off a little bit of the start of the Scarecrow mission, which is one of the PS4 exclusive content things that you get included with if you buy it on PS4. After that, we had the beloved, I'm pretty sure everyone hates him, even the Sony fanboys hate him, Andrew House. Andrew House comes out, decides to start talking about Project Morpheus. So he starts talking about Project Morpheus anyway, and there's nothing major. They just talk about how it's an optional experience, and they drop a couple of new names anyway. They had Eve Valkyrie. If you watched the Oculus Rift presentation a few days ago, you already know what Eve Valkyrie is like. It's like Eve Online, but you actually take, you're in first person control and looking around, and it's based in the ship. in first person to do with the headset. They also showed off a couple of other games that they really only went over really fast just to get a name out there. They had Godling, no idea about anything about it. They had The Deep, also no idea anything about it. They also brought up, in the same way as Project Morpheus, they have a new title which seems to be their new whole wannabe, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's called Rigs. And that's sort of, yes, it's Rigs, Rigs, and it's still Project Morpheus, and it will pit you into a 3 versus 3 battle arena style first person gameplay. So that's really all they had to say about that. They showed off a couple of seconds game footage or concept footage, and that would basically be how it is. They had another game that they called World War Toons. Again, they just had a quick flash in the background, no info about it whatsoever, but it was still in the Project Morpheus vein. They came out with PlayStation Vue, that's VUE because that's so hip. So PlayStation Vue, it talked about how you can stream your TV channels and subscribe to TV channels through your PlayStation. So it's basically trying to do what I'm not fanboying this actually when I say what I'm about to say, as well as a couple of other things I've mentioned here so far. I don't think the agreement, or I don't think all the praise, I don't agree with all the praise and over the topness of it, so that's why. But it's basically going to do what the Xbox One started doing 2 years ago, when they were doing all their TV services and all the shit they put in there. And they've got stuff like PlayStation Plus users can get a discount. You can subscribe to individual channels without buying an entire subscription. It's all well and good for like the 10 people who are going to use it in North America, because chances are it's never going to come outside outside America, because they only seem to focus on America for the TV stuff. And after that, Call of Duty, Activision, and Black Ops 3 came out for the PlayStation stage. Now, what I find, how would I say this? What I find strange about this is Microsoft have ended their partnership with the whole Call of Duty DLC thing first. You know how Microsoft used to have all the exclusives on Call of Duty DLC, where it would come out like a month beforehand, compared to like Sony platforms and PC. So now Microsoft have stopped that, and Sony pick it up because Sony are desperate for all this stuff, because that's what they do, it seems, lately, especially with all the fanboys. They're just the worst. But they did show off a couple of things anyway. The main thing that they will do is you'll have a little area before each mission, and depending on what mission you're going to do, you can gear up accordingly. So you have a place to gear up before your missions. It supports on next-gen console. Why do I say next-gen? I have an article open on the other side of my screen that says next-gen. That's probably why. On current-gen consoles, you have 4-player co-op. On last-gen consoles, on the port, it is going to have 2-player co-op. You've got the standard kind of shit that they've added from Advanced Warfare and really any other game that uses kind of suits and exosuits and power armor and stuff. Double jumps, running along walls, suit powers, Crisis style, if you will. That's what I wrote here on my notes, Crisis style. All that kind of shit. So I mean, there's parts where they put their hand out and use like an Iron Man blast, and I'm sure Iron Man and the popularity of the Avengers actually had some part in designing that. PS4 users will get access to all map packs first, like I said a minute ago, basically reversing the Microsoft previous agreement. And there will be a PS4 exclusive beta in August for shock horror, like pretty much every other game that they've announced to have it so far, for pre-order bonuses. So pre-order bonuses include PS4 beta in August. If you pre-order, it's bullshit. So they went through a quick PS4 sizzle reel after that. There was nothing really of note. It was all games we already know exist. The fact that every game was only shown for a few seconds and nothing was talked about, there's nothing to talk about in it. Then they moved to a Vita sizzle reel. The Vita sizzle reel actually kind of threw me off guard. I wasn't expecting to see the Vita in any presence, way, shape, or form. I think they literally probably only threw it in because Andrew House had said that it was a legacy platform and they kind of wanted to dissuade people from believing that. After that, they, in what I can only call a Final Fantasy VII Steam Edition bait and switch, one of the guys from Sony hyped up Star Wars and being exclusive Sony content, and then someone comes out and announces he's talking about Disney Infinity. So Disney Infinity 3.0 combines Disney, Pixar and Marvel stuff, which are basically all owned by Disney at this point. And there's going to be an exclusive 3.0 starter pack for PlayStation, which will also include the Boba Fett. I'm not sure what they're called, characters, amiibos, or obviously amiibo is the Nintendo one, but whatever the little character figures that you scan in and all. It includes an exclusive Boba Fett PlayStation version. So, the other content in the game will be available 1 month before anywhere else, so that would be Xbox One 1 month before there. I'm not sure if it comes to PC or Wii U, but it will be out on PlayStation 4 first, and they'll all be available this fall. Next up, they showed Battlefront 3, or didn't really. Well, I suppose they did show it. Battlefront 3 is obviously the new Star Wars game developed by DICE, so it will be broken upon launch, and it will be horribly broken and unbalanced. But there's multiple different modes. What they did is they showed off a big Battle of Hoth, basically, and it's going to have what they'd call hero mode, where you can specifically take part as like Luke Skywalker, or as the guy on stage said, Luke Skywater. I was like, really? You're making a game about Star Wars and you seem to know nothing about it? Just stop. But they showed off all the usual stuff. It was a big scripted fight, as you'd expect from a presentation of all that sort anyway. They didn't really talk about anything other than showing it off in the Battlefront 3 presentation, but that's that. And finally, they closed the presentation with an Uncharted 4 demo, which fucked up twice. So when they tried to launch it first, it wouldn't launch properly, and we were stuck looking at a screen that said only on PlayStation for a good 30 or 40 seconds. It was pretty painful. And then when it did start, it played through the first little cutscene just fine. Goes outside. It started inside, little cutscene, then goes outside, shows a big market area and town. They go look over a balcony, and then they turn around, and suddenly is when the gameplay kicks in, and Nathan Drake will not move. So he's standing there stuck in place for a good 30 seconds, which is really awkward. And then the demo restarts, and that's when everything works fine. So the demo restarts, goes through the cutscene, and then when the gameplay part of it actually kicks in, it all works fine. I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, it looks very over the top. It looks like I'd expect from a new Uncharted game. I say over the top in a bad way because Uncharted has I don't know what they have a history of making no sense, and I mean, this game looks almost comical, if you will. It looks like it's almost a fucking Police Academy game, but a lot of people are crazy about it. So I mean, if you think it looks good and you enjoy it, that's cool on you. That's all I'm saying. That's really it. It was a big demo showing off a lot of stuff. I'd be surprised if it didn't get downgraded, because I know Sony exclusive studios, and in particular Naughty Dog, have a habit of making full use of the engine and full use of the hardware. So maybe they'll actually pull it off, because I know there was original concern that when it was first announced it was going to be 1080p 60 FPS, and then in another announcement later on down the line they said they were struggling to get over 30. So we'll see how it goes. I don't trust the stream I was watching, so I was watching the stream in 1080p 60 FPS, but I don't trust not only do I not trust the stream, but I also don't trust E3 presentations or anything graphically or anything shown off until very close to the game actually releases. So that's basically it. Let me know in the comment section below, because that's the end of the Sony conference. So let me know in the comment section below anything you saw here, in the entire Sony press conference, what you thought about it and what your opinions and all on it are. So other than that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. Details in the description below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the rest of the videos in my channel and for the Nintendo, the Square Enix, and the PC gaming actual presentations later today.